Have you ever wondered why some people never get ahead, no matter how hard they work, how smart they are, or how many hours they put in? You grind, you save, you sacrifice, but somehow, wealth keeps slipping through your fingers. And deep down, you know it's not just bad luck. Something is holding you back. Maybe it's the voice in your head that whispers, "I can't afford that," or "I'm not ready," or "rich people are just lucky." That voice isn't just a thought, it's a mindset trap, a mental pattern that keeps you locked in financial mediocrity. And here's the brutal truth. You cannot get rich thinking like this. Not tomorrow, not next year, not ever. The world doesn't reward good intentions, it rewards the way you think, the way you act, the way you perceive opportunities. If your thinking is flawed, your results will always be limited, no matter how much effort you put in. In this video, we're going to dismantle the mental blocks that keep most people poor, even when they work harder than everyone else. We'll expose the hidden beliefs, the subtle lies you tell yourself, and the misconceptions about money that are silently sabotaging your financial future. And more importantly, we'll replace them with the mindset that allows you to attract, grow, and multiply wealth. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly why you've been stuck, how to change the way you think, and what steps to take immediately to start seeing results that most people never achieve. So if you're serious about taking control of your financial future, hit that subscribe button, tap the like, and buckle up, because we're about to dive deep into the mindset of the wealthy, and why thinking like most people will keep you poor forever. Let's start by examining the first trap that keeps most people from getting rich, the belief that money is scarce. This is the invisible chain that binds millions. You've probably caught yourself thinking, "There's never enough, I'll never have what I need," or "rich people take from the rest of us." That mindset is deadly because it frames your entire relationship with money as a zero-sum game. When you believe resources are limited, your actions reflect that. You stop taking risks, you play small, you settle for what's comfortable instead of chasing what's possible. Consider David, a man who worked 2 jobs, saved every penny, and still felt stuck. He would constantly tell himself, "There's not enough to go around. I'll never get ahead." This thinking became a self-fulfilling prophecy. No matter how much he earned, he never invested, never took calculated risks, never sought opportunities. Then one day, he read a book that completely shifted his perspective. Money isn't scarce, it's a tool. Opportunities multiply when you look for them. Connections grow when you nurture them. Wealth can be created, not just found. Once he adopted this abundance mindset, his actions changed. He started small businesses, invested in skills, and suddenly doors that had seemed closed opened wide. The same income became the seed for growth because his thinking had evolved. Practical tip: write down every negative thought you have about money this week. Confront each one. Ask, "Is this true? Or is it just my fear talking?" Rewriting your beliefs is the first step to real financial freedom. The second mindset trap is believing you have to work harder than everyone else to get ahead. Most people equate effort with results. They grind endlessly, hustle 12-hour days, and think success is directly proportional to effort. Here's the problem: effort without strategy is just spinning wheels. Hard work alone does not guarantee wealth. Think of someone working tirelessly at a mediocre job. They're busy, exhausted, and getting nowhere. Meanwhile, someone who works smarter, leverages skills, networks, and opportunities can achieve more in less time. Let me tell you about Maria, an accountant with relentless work ethic. She stayed late every night, handled more clients than anyone else, and yet her income plateaued. One mentor challenged her thinking: "Are you working hard, or are you working for leverage?" That question changed everything. She started automating her work, offering higher value services, and building relationships with clients who could grow with her. In a year, her income doubled, not because she worked harder, but because she started working strategically. Practical exercise: look at your daily work and ask, which tasks create the most impact for the least time? Focus on those, delegate or eliminate the rest. Smarter action beats harder action every single time. The third destructive belief is thinking money defines value or self-worth. So many people tie their identity to their paycheck. "I'm only valuable if I earn X. If I can't afford this, I must be failing." This mindset is toxic because it creates fear, stress, and poor financial decisions. It leads to comparing yourself with others, feeling envy, and making choices to impress rather than to grow. Take Tom, who always thought his worth was directly linked to his salary. He chased promotions that drained him, bought things to impress colleagues, and constantly measured success against peers. The result? Stress, debt, and stagnation. The breakthrough came when he understood that his worth is independent of his bank account. He began investing in skills, relationships, and projects aligned with his vision, not validation. Suddenly, income increased, but more importantly, he felt empowered, free, and confident. Practical tip: define your worth in terms of your skills, values, and impact, not your paycheck. Write it down and remind yourself daily. You can't build wealth on a shaky sense of self. Now, let's connect these three: scarcity thinking, overvaluing effort, and tying worth to money. They reinforce each other. Scarcity makes you overwork. Overwork reinforces the idea that effort equals value. And tying worth to money traps you in anxiety and poor decisions. Breaking any one of these beliefs opens the door, but breaking all three transforms everything. Here's a subtle sign you're stuck in these traps. You feel constantly anxious about money, even when you technically have enough. You feel guilty spending, or you obsessively compare yourself to richer people. That's not a motivation problem, it's a mindset problem. And mindset is everything when it comes to wealth creation. Practical exercise. For 1 week, track every thought you have about money. Note when it's scarcity, fear, or worth-related. Then, consciously rewrite those thoughts in a way that promotes abundance, strategy, and self-worth independent of wealth. Another practical strategy is modeling the mindset of the wealthy, not just their actions. Look at how successful people think about money. They see opportunity, leverage resources, invest in themselves, and understand the compounding nature of assets. They don't chase money, they cultivate it intelligently. For example, instead of working overtime at a job, they might invest in learning a new skill, starting a business, or creating an income stream that grows passively. Finally, the mindset of wealth is deeply tied to vision. If your thinking is limited, your vision is limited. If your vision is limited, your results are limited. Most people fail because they see their current circumstances as reality rather than a launchpad. They think, I can't do X because I'm not there yet, instead of asking, how can I leverage what I have to get there faster? That shift seeing opportunity, not limitation, is invisible, but it multiplies results. Practical tip: write down where you want to be financially in 5 years. Then reverse engineer your mindset. Identify beliefs that could sabotage this vision and replace them with empowering alternatives. If you've been listening closely, you've already begun noticing your own limiting beliefs. Maybe you catch yourself thinking scarcity thoughts, equating effort with value, or tying self-worth to income. Recognizing these is the first sign of transformation. The door is opening. In the next section, we'll dive even deeper into the mindset patterns that quietly sabotage your wealth and, more importantly, how to replace them with the thinking that creates real, lasting riches. The second set of traps that prevent most people from creating real wealth is more subtle, yet equally dangerous. These are the thought patterns that operate beneath the surface, quietly shaping your actions, choices, and financial destiny without you even realizing it. The first of these is believing that saving alone will make you rich. Most people live their entire lives in this mindset. I'll save more. I'll cut back on expenses. I'll be careful with every dollar. And eventually, I'll be wealthy. Saving is good, it's responsible. But it's not the key to financial freedom. Saving alone without investing, without multiplying your resources, without leveraging opportunities, keeps you stuck in the hamster wheel. Let me tell you about Sarah, a woman who meticulously saved thousands of dollars each year. She felt proud of her discipline, yet she watched peers who took calculated risks surpass her financially. The difference wasn't effort, it was mindset. They understood that money is not just to be stored, it's to be grown. Practical tip: track your savings versus your investments. If all you're doing is saving, ask yourself how your money is working for you. Start small, invest in assets that appreciate, in businesses, in skills that increase earning potential. The habit of multiplying money, not just hoarding it, is how wealth compounds. The second subtle trap is the fear of failure disguised as caution. Many people avoid risks because they fear losing money, being embarrassed, or making mistakes. Here's the problem: wealth rarely grows in the comfort zone. The reality is that the risk of not trying is far greater than the risk of failure. Take Michael, a graphic designer who had a stable job but dreamed of starting an online business. Every day, he told himself, I can't risk losing my steady income. Years passed, and his competitors, those who dared to start, became successful entrepreneurs. The fear of failure had kept him trapped in a life that felt safe but was financially stagnant. Practical exercise. Identify one calculated risk you've been avoiding because of fear. Break it down into steps, minimize downside, and commit to taking action. Each small risk you take is training your mind to embrace growth and multiply wealth. The third trap in this series is believing that working for someone else is the safest path to financial security. Society has ingrained this idea in almost everyone. Get a good job, work hard, climb the corporate ladder, and retire comfortably. Sounds reasonable, right? The reality is that employment often limits earning potential, controls your time, and keeps your financial growth capped. Wealthy people don't rely solely on a paycheck. They create multiple streams of income, invest in assets, and leverage opportunities that go beyond trading hours for dollars. Consider Lisa, an accountant who followed the safe path for years. She realized her growth was limited by the structure of her job. When she started a side business and invested intelligently, her income began to exceed her salaried job within a year. She didn't work harder, she worked smarter and leveraged opportunities outside the conventional path. Practical tip: identify one area where you can start generating passive or semi-passive income. Small steps compound quickly when done consistently. Now, let's connect these three ideas: relying solely on saving, fear of failure, and over-reliance on employment. They reinforce each other. Saving without risk prevents growth. Fear of failure keeps you from multiplying resources, and depending on a job caps your financial horizon. Breaking these patterns isn't easy. It requires conscious reflection, planning, and action. But recognizing them is the first victory. Here's a story to illustrate how all three can trap someone in financial mediocrity. James was a talented software developer. He saved diligently, never spent frivolously, and stayed in a stable corporate job. Yet, year after year, he watched friends who dared to invest, launch projects, or start side businesses grow their wealth exponentially. He felt frustration, anxiety, and envy. The turning point came when he attended a seminar on wealth mindset. He realized that his careful saving, fear of failure, and dependence on employment were silently keeping him from financial freedom. Once he started a small side project, invested in learning high-income skills, and embraced calculated risks, his wealth trajectory changed dramatically. This wasn't about working harder, it was about thinking differently. Another practical strategy is to reframe money as a tool, not a goal. Too many people chase money as the ultimate prize. Wealthy people understand that money is a tool to create freedom, impact, and leverage. When you change your thinking, you start using money strategically, investing, multiplying, and building assets rather than hoarding, fearing, or trading time for it. Ask yourself daily, how can I make this resource work for me rather than me working for it? That simple question shifts the focus from scarcity to creation. A fourth concept worth highlighting is the illusion of control through overplanning. People often stay stuck because they overanalyze, overplan, and wait for perfect conditions. They think, I'll start investing when I have more money, or I'll launch my business when everything is perfect. Here's the truth: there is no perfect moment. Wealth favors action, iteration, and adaptability. Real growth comes from learning while doing, adjusting as you go, and embracing imperfect execution. Practical exercise: pick one financial action you've been postponing due to fear or overplanning. Start today, adjust as necessary, and track your progress. Action breeds clarity, and clarity breeds wealth. Finally, the mindset of the rich includes thinking in terms of leverage and compounding. While most people think linearly, average earners think, I'll work more hours to earn more money. Wealthy people think, how can I leverage my time, skills, and resources to earn more while working less? Consider the concept of compounding. Money, ideas, and relationships grow exponentially when leveraged properly. If you think linearly, you're trapped in effort for income cycles. If you think exponentially, your financial growth accelerates rapidly. Practical tip: identify one area in your life where compounding is possible. Investing, networking, or skill development, and commit to consistent action. If you've been following closely, you've probably caught yourself in some of these traps. Maybe you've been saving obsessively without investing, avoiding risk due to fear, or relying solely on your paycheck. Awareness is the first step, but action is where transformation begins. In the next section, we'll uncover the final, most powerful mindset shifts, the ones that separate those who merely dream of wealth from those who actually create it. You'll see the patterns the rich use daily to think differently, act strategically, and multiply their resources faster than most can imagine. Now we arrive at the final stage, the mindset shifts that create real, lasting wealth. These are not incremental tweaks, they are radical ways of thinking that fundamentally change how you approach money, opportunities, and your life. The first is thinking like an owner, not a renter. Most people live as if they are temporary participants in life. They trade time for money, focus on short-term comfort, and settle for security over growth. Owners, on the other hand, think in terms of control, leverage, and long-term impact. They see opportunities where others see obstacles. Take Anthony, who worked at a mid-level corporate job for years. He was comfortable, steady, and predictably paid. Yet he always felt restricted, watching colleagues start businesses, invest, and grow exponentially. One mentor asked him, "Do you see yourself as an employee, or do you see yourself as an owner of your future?" That question changed everything. He began investing in real estate, starting small ventures, and learning about compounding interest and passive income streams. Within a few years, he was generating wealth that dwarfed his salary. The shift wasn't luck, it was thinking like an owner. Practical tip: start viewing every financial decision through the lens of ownership. How can this action multiply your assets instead of just trading time for money? The second powerful shift is focusing on leverage rather than effort. Most people believe success comes from working harder, longer, and faster. Rich people understand that effort without leverage is limited. Leverage is about multiplying impact, hiring, investing, automating, and using other people's time, money, and expertise to accelerate your growth. Let me share a story. Emily, a freelance designer, used to spend 12 hours a day on client work, trading hours for dollars. Then she learned about creating templates, automating processes, and licensing designs. Her income tripled while her working hours halved. The lesson: leverage is the exponential engine of wealth. Practical exercise: identify one area in your work or business where you can apply leverage. Could a process be automated? Could you delegate? Could your work reach a larger audience with the same effort? Start small and watch compounding results. The third transformative mindset is seeing problems as opportunities. Where most people see risk, scarcity, or obstacles, the wealthy see openings for growth, innovation, and profit. This is a subtle shift, but it makes all the difference. Think about Steve Jobs or Elon Musk. They didn't avoid challenges, they sought them, because they understood that obstacles hide enormous opportunities. Let's take a real-life example. Jordan noticed a failing local business, a coffee shop that was losing money. While others avoided it, he saw an opportunity to revamp it with a new model, invest strategically, and transform it. Within a year, the once struggling business became a thriving franchise. Practical tip: when you face a financial or professional problem, pause and ask, how could this situation be used to my advantage? What opportunity is hidden here? Reframing challenges as leverage point shifts you from reactive to proactive thinking. Another key shift is delayed gratification combined with strategic impatience. Wealthy people understand the balance between patience and urgency. They're willing to delay consumption, resist instant pleasures, and invest in growth. Yet, they act with urgency when opportunities arise. Consider David, a young investor who saved diligently, waited for perfect conditions, and often hesitated. He watched a friend, who acted decisively despite imperfect circumstances, generate significant returns. The lesson: wealth comes to those who prepare patiently and act boldly when leverage presents itself. Practical exercise: identify one long-term investment or growth action you've been delaying. Commit to initiating it this week, even if it feels imperfect. The fifth mindset is constant learning and adaptation. Most people stop learning after formal education. Wealthy individuals are relentless students of life, business, psychology, and markets. They read, they listen, they experiment, and they adjust. This doesn't mean passive consumption, it means integrating knowledge into action. Consider Sophia, who regularly attended seminars, read extensively, and experimented with business models. Every new insight she applied compounded her wealth exponentially over time. Practical tip: dedicate at least 30 minutes daily to learning something that directly impacts your ability to grow financially. Track what you implement, not just what you consume. Another transformative shift is building relationships strategically. Wealth is rarely created in isolation. The rich cultivate networks of mentors, collaborators, and peers who challenge, inspire, and open doors. It's not about using people, it's about building mutually beneficial connections that accelerate growth. Example: Michael, a software developer, invested in genuine relationships with industry leaders. Within 2 years, he was invited to partnerships and investment opportunities that multiplied his wealth far beyond what he could have achieved alone. Practical tip: identify 3 people this month you can connect with meaningfully, offer value, and learn from. Growth accelerates when you surround yourself with the right minds. Finally, the ultimate mindset of the wealthy is thinking in terms of legacy and impact, not just income. True financial growth is tied to purpose. People who focus solely on money often plateau because motivation fades, but those who aim to create impact, provide value, and leave a legacy tap into an inexhaustible source of drive and creativity. Let's take a story. Richard, who once chased short-term earnings, shifted focus to building businesses that help communities. The financial reward was immense, but the sense of purpose amplified his resilience, vision, and creativity. Practical exercise: write down the impact you want to create in the next 5 years. Align every financial action with that purpose. When money becomes a tool for impact, not a goal, exponential growth follows. If you've been paying attention, you're now aware of the invisible mental patterns that prevent wealth, and the transformative thinking that creates it. You see how scarcity traps, fear of failure, reliance on effort, and passive thinking hold most people back. You also understand the mindset shifts of the wealthy: ownership, leverage, opportunity-focused thinking, delayed gratification, constant learning, strategic relationships, and purpose-driven action. These are not theoretical, they are actionable strategies you can implement starting today. Here's the takeaway: wealth is less about luck and more about mindset. You can work hard, save diligently, and still fail if your thinking is flawed. Conversely, with the right mental framework, a few strategic moves can accelerate your growth beyond what most would consider possible. So here's your call to action. Reflect on your current beliefs about money. Write down the traits you recognize in yourself, and actively replace them with the wealth-building mindset we've explored today. Take one step immediately. Invest in yourself, a skill, or relationship, or an opportunity. Hit that subscribe button if you haven't yet. Share this video with someone who needs this perspective, and start thinking like the wealthy, because thinking differently is the first and most powerful step to becoming rich.